Alright, hey guys, Pax, welcome back to another weekly meta report. This is the weekly meta report for the third week of July. If you guys are new to my channel, I consider liking and subscribing so you don't miss out on Pokemon Pocket content. But without further ado, let's get right into the tournament report. Disclaimer, this is actually my second time recording this. Unfortunately, my computer crashed. I probably should start recording in MKV instead of MP4, but it is what it is. But yeah, if this is your first tournament report on my channel, I'm going to be basically skimming this article made by Pokemon Zone. I'm going to leave the link to the article in the description. And yeah, I'm pretty much going to be skimming over it, looking over decks that were very prominent this week. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be using one of these decks in rank to see how it performs. But yeah, without further ado, getting right into it. We're going to be going over several tournaments. The first one is Frog EX Weekly Cup number 26. Player count of 363 players. This is the pie chart right here showing all the prominent decks. And as you can see, yeah, high prominence with Sylveon EX. And of course, Darkrai. Yeah, Darkrai making a bit of a resurgence yet again, always being meta relevant. And that's totally Darkrai right there. Yes, that is Darkrai just staring us down. But yeah, overall, I really do like how Darkrai is still somewhat meta relevant. So if you guys think of investing into Darkrai, I very much think you should. Like, he is very great, and he's still the go-to darkness type Pokemon. Like, I very much still think he is the best darkness Pokemon overall. But yeah, Sylveon EX, Darkrai EX, Flareon, Charizard EX, of course, Garchomp, pretty nice, Solgaleo, of course. Pretty much all the archetypes that have been meta relevant for the past several weeks. The only main difference right here is Sylveon, of course, being very prominent, which makes sense because usually when a new booster pack comes out, the cards from that booster pack somewhat dominate the meta. And yeah, Sylveon EX, very meta. The main difference right here compared to last week is Buzzwole EX seeing a decrease in play, because just looking at the previous meta report right here, looking at, yeah, Buzzwole being the most prominent deck. Also, Alchemy is here. Very fun, but kind of sad to see that it did get slowly phased out. This take a while to get built up, but overall, very scary. Alchemy is very scary if you can get him built up, because this card can potentially do 200 damage. 160, 200 damage, even higher. It's a nightmare to go up against if your opponent gets built. Very much expected. And if we look at top 8 right here, high prominence with Flareon EX, Garchomp, Sylveon, Oricorio, Magnezone, and Buzzwole. Yeah, somehow managed to scoot into top 8, but keep in mind, in this meta, Buzzwole EX is really at a disadvantage, because looking at this, Buzzwole EX gets hard countered against Fire type, and there's a lot of Fire type prominence in this meta. Charizard EX, Flareon EX, and he's not here, but even Incineroar EX. So in ranked, Incineroar EX is still relatively prominent, and given that, I mean, Buzzwole EX, a very fun deck in my opinion, but it's really hard to keep up against Fire type. And yeah, this is the first deck we'll be going over. It's the Flareon, Leafeon, and Sylveon deck. Now, this deck is very fun. I actually made a deck showcase on my channel. I'll leave a link to it in the description. This variation of the deck doesn't use X-Speed, but if you run X-Speed in this deck, there is a combo when you go first. So if you go first, ideally, like especially with this deck, you're already at a disadvantage, because for this deck, you do want to go second just to maximize energy. But if you go first, it is rather awkward. But given if you do have an X-Speed, there is a combo. If you go first, you can just get Leafeon out and just do at least 90 damage. At least 90 damage, because keep in mind with this deck, you do have EV bags as well as red. So Leafeon, your second turn, can potentially do 150, because Leafeon does 90 damage. If you pair it with 2 leafy bags, you do plus 20. And if you're going against an EX, you use red plus 40 with type advantage plus 60. So 90 plus 60, 150. So meaning that if you're going against a Darkrai, that Darkrai is screwed. Like, there's no saving that Darkrai. Your opponent really just has to Giant Cape. And yeah, this guy is pretty much Darkrai, like Darkrai EX's worst nightmare. It's kind of ironic, but yeah, this guy is pretty scary if you can get him super built. And overall, a lot of fun. But looking at this deck does run Sabrina, which is pretty good because the deck that I use, the main issue with that is that it didn't run any Sabrinas or Cyruses. So towards the mid to late game, that could really hinder you, because Sabrina could very much just be your win condition in given scenarios. But yeah, it's kind of a sacrifice, because going first with this deck is really not ideal. And given your luck, I mean, you could go first like 5 times in a row. It's happened to me before. Very annoying, but to help with that, this deck is running Mars just to mess up your opponent. Keep in mind, this deck is only running Fire Energy, and given that, Sylveon EX in this deck is primarily here just to be a Professor's Research, because its ability, Happy Ribbon, is pretty good. Again, essentially a Professor's Research. So in a turn, you could potentially draw 5 cards. The 1 card you draw each turn, plus Sylveon's ability and Professor's Research, 5 cards. So yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of potential. And yeah, I talked a lot about Leafeon being Darkrai EX's worst nightmare. Flareon EX right here is Buzzwole EX's worst nightmare, because keep in mind, Flareon EX does 130 with type advantage 150, 2 EV bags 170, and then of course red 190. So if you go against a Buzzwole EX, even with Leaf Cape, that Buzzwole EX stands no chance. This guy can just cook him alive. Just roasting that Cosmic Bug. And Leafeon, enough said, amazing support Forest Breath, getting him and the other Leafeon built relatively fast. And yeah, a lot of fun. This deck, in my opinion, is the most fun deck in a while. A lot of thinking, in my opinion. Like, looking at this, just like without context, it looks like a mess, but it is a lot of fun. And I feel like this is still the definitive EV deck. And looking right here, just gonna go over the requirements. A lot of requirements. This is where I crashed the last time, just looking at this, so hopefully I don't crash again. This is pretty good, because keep in mind, 2 diamond rarity cards, you could trade it for free. So if you have a friend that has a lot of trainer cards, you can just ask them, and then hopefully they can just give you these. Next deck we'll be going over is the Garchomp and Rampardos deck. Now this deck, a somewhat old deck. Most of these cards are rather old at this point. Feels kind of crazy to say this deck is old given that this game hasn't been out for a year yet. But at the same time, I mean, the meta moves very fast in this game, in my opinion. But still pretty cool that, yeah, Rampardos came out in Spacetime Smackdown, but still dominates the meta. Very nice. Garchomp as well. That rare candy really buffing him a lot. But yeah, this deck is a lot of fun. It's a pure fighting deck. Obviously, you want to get Garchomp EX out as soon as possible. And then towards the mid to late game, have Rampardos just one shot. And hopefully you win you the game. There's also Lily buffing both Rampardos and Garchomp. Pretty great given that Rampardos has an insane recoil. If you knock out an opponent's Pokemon, Cyrus can help you out towards the end game, given Rampardos doing 130 damage, and Garchomp's first attack being able to target the bench. And yeah, a lot of fun. This deck is relatively straightforward, so I'm not gonna really go that in depth with it. But yeah, this is the requirements right here. Again, the majority of the cards are 2 diamond rarities, so there is no trade cost when trading. And Rampardos, a very good investment if you guys are thinking of investing into this card, because yeah, Spacetime Smackdown still meta relevant to this day, and most likely meta relevant for the foreseeable future. And yeah, it's a deck. Next deck, your lightning deck, running Luxray. Very fun because this guy has potential to cook. So Voltebolt requires 3 energy. You discard all energy, however, this attack does 120 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, meaning that you could target the bench. And keep in mind, this also runs Volkner. Choose one of your Electivire or Luxray, attach 2 energy from your discard pile to that Pokemon. So given this, you do want to run Luxray towards the mid to late game. Towards the early game, we do have Zeraora. Yeah, just enough said. Ability is very nice. And of course, Oricorio just to counter EX Pokemon. You're gonna have a lot of fun running this deck. This deck is pretty nice, especially given that it's a non-EX deck. Not the best in my opinion. In my opinion, the best non-EX deck might still be the Rampardos and Silvally deck. If you need like an all-around, just amazing non-EX deck, especially for the solo battles, I recommend using that deck. That really did help me out a lot. But nevertheless, a lot of fun. Luxray, a lot of potential. Oricorio, a huge counter to EXs. And Zeraora getting built relatively fast. This is the requirements right here if you guys want to pause and just look at it. The next tournament we'll be going over is the Magma 51 USD Weekly Cup. This is the pie chart right here. Very similar. Yeah, that's totally Charizard. Yes. So Sylveon EX, Charizard EX, Flareon. Flareon's a lot of fun. Really do like that card. But yeah, all the main contenders, top 93, very much the same. And then looking at top 8, Darkrai being very prominent, of course. Silvally, pretty nice. It's good to see Silvally, yeah, once again, being still meta relevant, although I wouldn't be surprised if he gets phased out next month. Because again, keep in mind, Silvally, the previous month, there was Lycanroc. And Lycanroc, if you guys don't know, I keep saying this, but this guy, especially this Lycanroc right here, is very similar to Silvally. Base damage, has potential to do 100, requires 2 energy, and yeah, keep that in mind. This is basically Silvally in the Celestial Gardens meta. And then the next meta, Silvally came out and just dominated the game. But yeah, Guzzlord, very scary to go up against. It requires a bit of RNG, especially with Grindcore. But yeah, if you get lucky with Grindcore, your opponent really can't stand a chance. And speaking of Guzzlord, this is the deck right here. A very nice poison deck. We do have Poison Barbs, Naganadel, Nihilego, just buffing poison damage. Very nice, because in a turn, you could potentially do 90 damage given Naganadel. If you attack with Naganadel, have 2 Nihilegos out, and type advantage, as well as poisoning your opponent. Yeah, you can do 90 damage, and that's pretty good given that Naganadel right here only requires 1 energy. And after you get him out in your active slot, you can start building Guzzlord EX. And of course, we have Lusamine, so you can get Guzzlord built relatively fast. And again, Guzzlord doesn't need an introduction. HP 170 is very nice because, yeah, Grindcore is pretty good, but at the same time, Tyrannical Hole can do a lot of damage to your opponent. And then for an easy retreat, of course, we have Celesteela. Guzma as well to mess up your opponent. Mars. This is a standard stall deck because, yeah, Mars messing up your opponent, Guzma messing up your opponent, Sabrina, same thing, poison damage. This is going to be very toxic to go up against. Like, no pun intended, but yeah, very toxic. And this is the requirements right here. Again, if you guys want to take a screenshot. Next deck, interesting. Flareon. Flareon from Genetic Apex. This guy is an oldie, but still, as you can see, somewhat still meta relevant. Keep in mind, this did go 0-3 versus the EV box in Swiss. So looking at this deck, I mean, it is pretty good. This card kind of scares me because it really depends on your RNG, but you have to build this guy manually. Because looking at this, the cool thing about Flareon EX is that essentially you only have to feed that guy 1 energy, and then your next turn it potentially can be just fully built. But for this guy, you have to feed him 3 and just manually build him up. So it could be relatively scary, but at the same time, Charizard EX, huge monster. The main downside is that you have to get lucky with your card draws. And just to boost your luck, we have Sylveon EX, 2 copies. 2 copies of Sylveon EX, as well as Professor's Research. Of course, this deck is running purely fire energy, so Sylveon, again, just kind of eye candy, just farming aura, as well as farming cards as well. Yeah, so very nice. Flareon's pretty much just here, just to deal with non-EX counters like Lucario, which is why you're only running 1 copy of Flareon, 2 copies of Eevee, of course, just to hopefully get Sylveon's out. And yeah, a lot of fun. Charizard EX, still kind of a monster. Not as monstrous, in my opinion, as the original Charizard. Of course, that guy, if you guys don't know, does 200 damage. But in this meta, given the meta currently, 150 damage is really all you need. And the build-up will take a bit longer than this guy. And yeah, this is the requirements right here. Yep, very diverse. Again, very scary when it comes to a new player. And the last tournament we're going to be going over is Ursay's Pock League Weekly number 33. Player count of 714, a lot of players. Pie chart right here. Very similar to the previous pie charts, of course, Sylveon EX dominance. Top 64. Even more so. Holy crap. Yes, Sylveon really did change the meta. A lot of fun to run. Nice. Sylveon being super dominant. Giratina making it into here. This is pretty nice because Giratina is pretty good. Even that it gains passive energy and you can essentially run it in any color deck. And just to deliver a smooth transition, this is the deck right here. Of course, Giratina, Greninja, Sylveon. We kind of went over this deck in the previous weekly meta report. But yeah, Greninja has amazing synergy with Cyrus when it comes to a Pokemon and a trainer card, because for the Greninja's passive ability, essentially the combo is that you would Water Shuriken one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, then pair it with Cyrus, and then after that, use either Giratina, Sylveon, or even Greninja to just knock out that active Pokemon, and that could very much win you the game. Like, that combo is very much a win condition. And it's overall a lot of fun, and of course, Sylveon EX is in this deck. But what differentiates this deck from other decks is that you could run this deck with dual type, running both Psychic and Water Energy, meaning that Sylveon EX can attack, doing 90 damage paired with Greninja's ability. So overall, a lot of fun, and just to mess up your opponent, running both Mars and Red card. And yeah, overall, a lot of fun. This is the requirements right here. Again, somewhat diverse. So Valley, Zeraora, or Lucario, another non-EX deck. We went over this deck a few weeks ago, but this deck is pretty nice. Like, the main downside with Silvally, especially Silvally and Rampardos, is that if you go first, it's very awkward because once you get built, because you have to wait 1 more turn to get Silvally fully built, which is very annoying, especially how fast-paced this game is. But to counteract that with this deck, Zeraora, very nice going first, because if you go first, you play this guy, your second turn, he can already attack. And then next turn, just start building that Silvally. Giovanni is pretty good as well, especially if you're going against another Silvally, because Silvally paired with Giovanni, you could potentially do 110 damage, one-shotting the other Silvallis, which is pretty nice. And of course, Mars, Gladion, a lot of trainer cards. So if you go first, your second turn, if you did play Zeraora and Zeraora is in your bench, paired with Dawn, you can get Silvally built. You can get Silvally built your second turn, which is pretty good. And of course, Silvally having amazing synergy with anything supporter related, with anything supporter card related, which is pretty nice. And of course, Giant Cape just to help you out. Cyrus, Sabrina, overall a lot of fun. And comparing this to the Silvally / Rampardos deck, although that deck has a lot more potential, I feel like this deck is overall a lot more reliable. But given that this deck has Zeraora as well as Dawn, you do have the ability to bounce back. And to end off the video, I'm going to be using this deck right here in ranked, and let's see how it performs. All right, here we are in ranked, going second. Perfect. We're going against water as well, so we are at a type advantage potentially. Also, if you guys made it to this video, leave a like and subscribe if you like eating, because I'm actually so hungry right now. Like, it actually just crept up to me. Like, I hate that, how it happens, where like you get super hungry. You just get super hungry instantly. Like, 1 minute, I'm fine. Next minute, I'm just like dying. And that's where I am right now. So yeah, leave a like if you like to eat. After this video, I'm probably gonna go eat. Either that or pass out. Interesting. This guy's running Articuno. Shiny as well. Nice. This is pretty good. So we can get, nice, we can potentially get Luxray out next turn. Perfect. Okay, this is an amazing hand. This is an amazing hand. Lucario just for late game. This guy could be a run condition right here. Because this Nightmare Bird It's bird versus bird, pretty much. If he only has EX Pokemon, he really can't do much against this bird, which is pretty good. So for now, I'm just gonna feed this Shinx and just end my turn. I'm gonna save Giant Cape for later just to see how this... I'm gonna save the Giant Cape for later just to see how this battle turns out. But, okay, yeah, this is pretty good. Shinx can get fully built in a couple of turns, and then this guy built next turn, which is why Zero Aura is amazing. This guy is pretty nice, especially if you go first, because if I went first, using basic cards, I mean, there's really no keeping up. Nice. All he did was attack, evolve into Brionne, attack. Wow. Red card. Yeah, good luck, buddy. Okay, this is pretty good. So for now, I'm a rare candy. We're at a very interesting condition, but keep in mind, we have Lucario, so I'm kind of happy. I could Giant Cape, but at the same time, if he feeds Brionne another energy, if he evolves into Primarina, then he does 80 damage. Keep that in mind, so it doesn't really matter, because I meant Giant Cape, it's going to be at 80 HP. So for now, just attacking. And then hopefully he has 3 cards, potentially more this turn, but hopefully he can evolve into Primarina. If he doesn't, then I pretty much won. Yeah, he evolves into Primarina, of course. But we're at a very good position because Primarina is relatively low. Okay, it does heal. Kind of awkward, but okay, yeah. So this turn, next turn, we really can't do much. This is the one downside. Yeah, if your opponent can get built up relatively fast like that, then this deck can be relatively scary, but at the same time, Volkner. Enough said. Guy comes in clutch last minute, so we use Volkner, and this guy should be, yeah, fully built. Wow. So I'm just gonna do this. Holy crap, this is pretty good. So next turn could do, okay, I might as well Giant Cape, because he could, because this guy paired with How, could do 130, so Giant Cape could save us, could save this Luxray's life, but we just do this, and we might as well just target this Primarina, which is pretty good, because the cool thing about this Luxray, no retreat value. So next turn, Lucario is going to be built. I can just retreat into Lucario and just one-shot this Primarina. Okay, so he fed Articuno, building up for that guy. Only doing 80 damage. Damn, that's pretty rough. Perfect, look at this. I'm just going to hold off. I'm just going to hold on to this Lucario just to kind of taunt him, because it doesn't really matter if I place him down or not at this point of the game. So I'm just going to do this. Primarina's dead. Damn, this is pretty nice. And really, I mean, Articuno can't do anything against this Lucario. Popplio and Brionne could potentially kill him. Okay, GG. Yeah, I'm gonna do one more battle. I'm gonna do one more battle because I feel like this is somewhat of an outlier deck. Easy win overall. And again, if I get Volkner next turn, Luxray can just attack. So yeah, Volkner is very nice, very fun to use. Easy win, GG. All right, next battle, going first. Okay, all we could really do is this. Okay, hand could be definitely a lot better, but for now, just putting down Shinx. And I'm going to save this red card. I'm going to red card next turn just to mess him up a little bit. For now, just ending my turn. Also, we're going as Ass Ketchup. With that being said, we might be screwed. We might be royally screwed. Okay, so red carding. So messing up a little bit. Hopefully he did Professor's Research. All we could really do in this scenario is this. Lightning Claw. And then hopefully I can get... I just need a Luxray. If I can get a Luxray, then it will be a lot better because he can get out next turn. And given that, Volkner towards the mid to late game. Very nice. Oh, he does evolve. Okay, damn. That's the main issue with red card, because you can very much just help your opponent out. And given that, wow, that's pretty scary. Next turn, this Zoro Aura is dead, but oh damn, he also Marses. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty scary. This looks very unlikely, but he only has 1 card, which is pretty nice. If I were him, I would Cyrus next turn, this Shinx, and just win the game, because this is not looking good. Yeah, this is yeah, in this ideal scenario, I feel like, oh, gosh, I do want to play as Zero Aura, but I feel like Lucario might be a lot more helpful towards the late game, especially with Giratina, and especially Sylveon. So for now, I'm going to take a gamble. This is pretty risky, but hopefully next turn I can get a... Crap. Damn, we need a Luxray as well as Rare Candy. So hopefully you can get a Professor's Research. It will help us out a lot. He only has 1 card. It's gonna be huge if that's a Cyrus. There's no way, right? Oh, he also... Okay, damn. Okay, Zero Aura is dead. Gosh, dude, this is very unlikely. Yeah, it's very... Even if I played... Like, if I played Zero Aura down last turn and fed him in Lightning Energy, then still very unlikely that I would win. And, okay, there's still a chance. I mean, Shinx is pretty nice given its ability right here. Hide, flip a coin if heads during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. So in case that guy dies, I'm gonna place down this Shinx. But I believe, man, if I get a heads, this will be huge. Perfect, okay, so this Shinx stays alive. I don't know about this guy, but sure. Okay, yeah, this is pretty rough. Okay, so he did Cyrus the other Shinx. On the bright side, this guy's still alive. Can I get heads like 5 turns in a row? If that happens, if that happens and I somehow win, This guy must be fuming. Ah, gosh. Yeah, we got Luxray, but we do need a rare candy. So, okay. Get heads one more time, please. If I can get heads this time, then there's a chance I could win next turn. Okay. Okay, this is the ultimate stall. Holy crap. Okay, so he does attack with Greninja, doing 20 damage. Alright. Okay, I lost. This is... Damn. What a way to go. What a way to go. This is the main downside for this deck is that, yeah, if your opponent... It's primarily up to RNG. I mean, if this guy had worse RNG, then, yeah, I could have won. But given that, I mean, this deck is nice, but if your opponent can just keep up with you and just like outspeed you, then it really does hinder you. And again, that guy, that Mars really did mess me up a lot. But yeah, pretty much GG, but hopefully, can I get heads one more time? Like, if I pulled a rare candy like a couple turns ago, or even this turn, I would be, probably could have won, because I had Volkner too. I had a Volkner, so I could do 120 damage 2 turns in a row, but RNG, part of the cards were not with me in this battle, and rip. Yeah, it's just... He's gonna destroy this freaking innocent Shanks, man. That Giratina's gonna kill him. He's not gonna kill himself. He giant cape, but still... Freaking heartless monster. But it kind of shows how meta this deck is. Like, this deck is a lot of fun. Sylveon, amazing support, as well as, again, being able to attack is pretty nice. And damn, GG. As Ketchup, I can't go against the main protagonist. Instead of being a Ketchump, this guy's a Ketchup. But yeah, I'm just gonna end the video with that lame-ass joke. Hopefully you found it informative, as well as a little bit entertaining. I try to be. And yeah, I'm just gonna go pass out now. Either eat or pass out. Probably pass out. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.